An avalanche triggered by a helicopter killed 3 skiers in the French Alps. Authorities say that the incident occurred a day after several ski resorts shut down their operations due to the risk of avalanches.
The Alps are currently facing their worst nightmare, and the shocking truth is that the danger was predicted weeks in advance. As the death toll nears 100, criminal probes are blowing up across Europe. We are talking about instructors facing manslaughter charges and villages being cut off from the world.
Alps. Towns and resorts buried under snow after another heavy snowfall. Blizzards, heavy snowfall, roads cut off.
This is not your typical winter story. It is a deep dive into how a single layer of weak snow and a few bad decisions created a lethal disaster. Authorities are uncovering details that suggest some experts knew the risks but went out anyway. What they found next changed the entire investigation and shocked the world. Crimson snow reveals dark choices. The high peaks of the European Alps are usually the crown jewel of winter sports, but this year they have become the center of a massive legal scandal. See, a shocking truth is emerging as the number of fatalities hits 99, which is a number that has not been seen in a very long time. For starters, the focus is squarely on France, where the loss of life has jumped way past the 10-year average. Prosecutors are now looking into several cases where experts might have led people directly into a lethal trap. This is a key detail because it shifts the blame from nature to human choices. People expected a normal ski season, but what they got was a series of criminal probes that are changing how we look at the mountains. On February 13th, a massive event in Valdair changed everything. A freelance instructor took a group of 5 people into an off-piste area while a red level alert was active. This was only the 4th time in 26 years that such a high warning had been issued. Unfortunately, 3 people lost their lives that day, including 2 British men. The guide survived without any injuries, but now he is facing a serious investigation for manslaughter. See, the authorities in Albertville are not taking this lightly. They believe the danger was totally foreseeable. The guide was equipped with all the right gear, but he allegedly ignored the most important thing, which was the official warning to stay off the slopes. What most people do not realize is that this was just the beginning of a much larger pattern. Just a few days later, another massive slide in Valdair took the life of a hiker who was just walking on a valley path. This was a natural event, but it raised even more questions about how local officials are enforcing alerts. The army had to be deployed to help with rescues because the situation was getting so out of hand. Basically, the mountains were falling apart and the legal system was trying to keep up with the chaos. It is a mess, and that is putting it lightly. There are still many rumors in the air, but what many can confirm is that the pressure on professional guides has never been higher. In the past, these events were often seen as tragic accidents. But now, with better technology and forecasting, the law is starting to treat them as negligence. It is not that simple though, because the mountains are always changing. However, when a red alert is issued, the rules are supposed to be clear. If you go out, you are taking a risk that the law might not forgive. All this shift in how we handle mountain safety is sending shockwaves through the entire industry. And get this, the investigations are not just staying in France. They are moving across the borders as the data shows that this is a regional crisis. Police are looking at everything from the timing of the slides to the specific paths that guides chose to take. They are using GPS data and transceiver logs to piece together the final moments of these tragic events. It is a high-tech hunt for answers in one of the most beautiful yet dangerous places on Earth. Nobody expected this to happen, but the numbers do not lie. The mountains are more unstable than they have been in years, and the legal fallout is only just starting to warm up. Evidence is mounting that human error is the main driver behind almost all of these cases. The crazy part is that the real monster is something you cannot even see from the surface. To understand why this winter is so lethal, we have to look back at what happened in December. During that month, there was a long dry spell with very cold temperatures. This created something called a persistent weak layer. It is basically a crumbly band of snow crystals that looks like sugar. This layer is buried about 20 to 40 inches deep under the fresh snow. When Storm Niels arrived in mid-February, it dumped between 31 and 47 inches of new snow on top of this fragile foundation. This created a massive weight that the weak layer simply could not hold. The Swiss Institute for Snow and Avalanche Research has been tracking this layer from the Mont Blanc Massif all the way to the Dolomites in Italy. They found that this layer is capable of fracturing under the weight of just one single person. Once it breaks, the slide can spread up to 1,600 feet wide. It is like a house of cards that is waiting for someone to touch it. Forecasters have been screaming about this extraordinary danger for weeks, but the allure of fresh powder is often too strong for people to resist. Yeah, about that, the problem is that the snow looks perfect from the top, even though it is a total trap underneath. It is not just about the amount of snow, but how it sits on the mountain. When the wind blows, it creates wind slabs, which are even more dangerous. These slabs are heavy and dense, and they sit right on top of that sugary, weak layer. This is exactly what happened during Storm Nils. The wind was howling, and the snow was piling up at a rate of several inches per hour. By the time the sun came out, the mountains were loaded like a spring-tight trap. Experts say that human triggers account for 92% of all fatal slides this season. That is a massive number that shows just how much our choices matter. The science behind this is actually quite scary. When that weak layer collapses, it sends a vibration through the snowpack that can trigger a slide hundreds of yards away. This is why some people are getting caught even when they think they are on a safe slope. They might be standing on a flat spot, but they trigger a collapse that brings the whole mountain down on top of them. It is a deceptive trap that has fooled even some of the most experienced professionals in the world, and that is the deal. Even the pros are getting it wrong this year because the instability is so persistent and widespread. Climate change is also playing a huge role in this. Warmer winters mean that the early snow is thinner, which allows those weak layers to form more easily. Then, when we get these massive storms, they bury the weakness deep where it can stay for months. We are also seeing more wet slides at lower elevations because of rapid thaws. Places like Chamonix, which sit at around 8,200 feet, are seeing instability that they have never seen before. It is a new world in the high peaks, and the old rules of thumb just do not work anymore. New data suggests that the hidden layers might stay dangerous until the late spring thaws. Tracking faults across national lines. While France has the highest number of cases, Italy is not far behind with 26 loss-of-life incidents. In just 1 week, 13 people perished across the regions of Lombardy and Veneto. The Alpine Rescue Corps reported that many of these were burials on slopes that were not being managed. This has led to new probes in famous spots like Courmayeur and Cortina d'Ampezzo. One specific investigation is looking at a tragedy near Gran Paradiso, where 3 climbers vanished under a 1,300-foot slab of snow. The rescuers noticed that the warnings were at a level 4, which means high danger, but the climbers went out anyway. Switzerland is also feeling the heat, even though they have not filed formal charges yet. They had 15 fatalities, but the most shocking event was a train derailment in Valais. A massive slide hit the tracks, injuring 5 people and cutting off rail lines. This has led the public prosecutors to look into infrastructure oversight. If the mountains are this unstable, should the trains even be running? Villages like Zermatt were completely isolated, and over 100 residents had to be evacuated from Obergams. The alerts in these areas hit level 5, which is the highest possible danger level. In Austria, the story is much the same. A snowboarder was buried in the Ötztal Alps, and now authorities are probing the decisions made by the group's guide. The theme across all these countries is that the authorities are no longer willing to just say it was an act of God. They are looking for specific decisions that led to these outcomes. Interpol is even getting involved to help share data across borders so they can see if the same patterns of negligence are happening in different countries. It is a coordinated effort to bring some kind of order to the chaos of this winter. So, here is the deal. The tourism industry is booming, and that is part of the problem. Backcountry skiing is up 35% since 2020. More people are heading into the wild than ever before, but many of them do not have the experience to read the snow. They rely on guides, and when those guides make a mistake, the results are fatal. This surge in popularity is clashing with the most unstable snowpack in a generation. It is a recipe for disaster. and the legal system is finally starting to react to the growing body count. Many of the victims were actually very well equipped. Shouted they had transceivers, probes, and shovels. They had all the expensive gear that is supposed to save you. But here is the catch. Gear does not matter if you are buried under 10 feet of heavy snow. The best gear in the world is not a substitute for staying off a dangerous slope. Prosecutors are pointing this out in their cases, noting that even people who followed safety protocols still perished because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. It is a brutal reality that many people are struggling to accept. Local governments are now considering extreme measures to stop people from entering the high danger zones. The shocking truth that is emerging from all these investigations is that we might be reaching a breaking point for mountain freedom. In France, there's already talk about a proposed ban on all off-piste activity during red-level alerts. This would be a massive change for a culture that prizes adventure and independence. But when the state has to spend millions of dollars on rescues and deal with nearly 100 fatalities, they start looking for ways to limit the damage. The question is whether we can really control the mountains with laws and regulations. What most people do not realize is that the danger is not going away anytime soon. The forecasts for the rest of the season are still showing a lot of volatility. That persistent weak layer we talked about earlier, it is still there, and it is only getting more buried. This means the threat of deep slab slides will haunt the Alps until the snow completely melts in the summer. We are looking at months of continued risk, and the authorities are on high alert. They are watching every storm and every group of skiers with a level of scrutiny that we have never seen before. The thing is, the mountains are not changing, but we are. Our desire for extreme adventure is pushing us into places that were once considered off-limits. We have better gear, better forecasts, and better rescue teams, so we feel invincible. But this winter has shown that we are very much not. Nature does not care about your experience or your expensive equipment. If you step on the wrong spot, the mountain will react. The criminal investigations are just a reflection of our attempt to make sense of that cold, hard truth. There are still many rumors in the air about what will happen to the guides currently under investigation. If they are found guilty of manslaughter, it could change the legal landscape for every outdoor professional in the world. It would set a precedent that an official warning is a legal boundary, not just a suggestion. This is a key detail that could save lives in the future, but it might also eliminate the spirit of the mountains for some. It is a tough balance to strike, and nobody has the perfect answer yet. As we look toward the end of the season, the Alps remain a place of both beauty and tragedy. The shocking truth is that many of the people who lost their lives this year were just looking for a bit of fun. They were not trying to be reckless, but they were caught in a system of instability that they did not fully understand. The criminal investigations will continue, and the debates over safety will rage on. But at the end of the day, the mountains will always have the final say. We are just guests in their world, and we have to learn to respect their rules if we want to survive. Is it fair to charge a guide with a crime for a natural event, or are we just looking for someone to blame for the risks we all take? This is a question that will be debated in courts for years to come. What do you think about these new laws? Should off-piste skiing be banned during high alerts? Let me know in the comments below, and do not forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's biggest mysteries.